every laugh, every smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste, the therapist. Let's go.
All right. Hi, beautiful people. So if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. If you've never been into this podcast before, my name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. And my goal in coming on here is to just help you shift the way you think. And I've been able to do that by talking to people that are doing things to empower the lives of others. Hey, Missy, to empower the lives of others. And they're able to kind of share their story somewhat and also talk about what they're doing. One of the things about me being a therapist is that I know there's more than one way people can get to their healing place, but it really takes the education and the knowledge and the awareness of what's happening. I think when we're like self-aware of what's going on, it really is a game changer. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. So before I bring on my special guest, I'm just going to put up this crisis text line. If you've been in here before, you know I always do this. If you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, there's this crisis text line, 741-741. You can be connected to a crisis counselor right away. Also, I have this free wellness will assessment. So one of the things about our lives is that it's complicated. There's different parts of it. And unfortunately, when we're struggling, it feels like everything is like going is very chaotic, right? And so when it feels like everything's chaotic, we really don't know where to start. And I think it's super helpful to be able to break down the different areas of our lives and help us get to a starting point on creating a plan for the different areas. So this is a free wellness assessment you can take. If you go to my website, celestetherapist.com, you can find that on there. So I'm going to bring on my special guest. Her name is Marie. I'm going to add her to the stream. Let me see. There she is. Hi, Marie. Can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. Hi, audience. My name is Marie Mechtaly, and I am a certified professional coactive coach.
Thank you for being here. And one of the things I want to talk about is what coactive coach means. But before I find out what that is, can you tell me a little bit about you and how you got to the place of wanting to be a coach?
Absolutely. So originally I'm from Denmark. I was born and raised in Denmark. And I sort of had this very untraditional path. I left home when I was really young and I spent years traveling the world. At some point I ended up in the US. I was actually in culinary school. And I decided I did not want to be a chef. And then I had a few years of trying out different ventures. I actually worked as a hospitality tour guide. So I would facilitate these different culinary events. And at some point just felt really stuck. And I was really beginning to ask some of those bigger questions of who am I really? What do I want? What's important to me? What do I see as next for me? And in that process, I started working with a coach and I thought, wow, what she's doing, I think I can do that. So I went on to get certified with the Coactive Training Institute, and here I am doing coaching.
No, that's good. And a part about who am I, those questions that we don't really ask. Do you remember what was that aha moment to bring on those questions? Was there a turning point in your life that brought on those questions for you?
You know, I think as funny as it sounds, doing these culinary walking tours, I was engaging with people in a new way, really like hearing people's stories and noticing that people really wanted to sort of hear my story and be in this sense of collaboration during those hours. They really wanted to enter into a partnership in conversations. And I thought, oh, I want more of that. I want to go deeper in those conversations. And I want to be a collaborator. And how can I be a collaborator with people in a more meaningful way to me?
No, I like that. I think collaboration is important. One of the things that I was able to find out about coactive coaching is that it's an approach that holds the whole human being as the focal point, including body, mind, and spirit. And that stuck out for me. So, can you let people know what coactive coaching is? Because it feels new for me. And the more I studied it, because I knew I was talking to you, I found it very fascinating.
Absolutely. So coactive coaching, is an approach that really works for both life coaching and leadership coaching. We say in coactive coaching that all human beings are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. So
Mhm.
that's a stand that we take as coactive coaches, which I love because in essence, it means that we take on this belief that we are not broken. So all of the experiences we have throughout life are opportunities for learning, opportunities for growth.
Mhm.
And then we believe that we are resourceful, that we can tap into the natural resources that we have available to us. And that's different for all human beings.
Mhm.
And that we are creative in our own way. So that's sort of the approach that we take on as coactive coaches. And then I really believe in not singling out areas of the human being. I think we are whole human beings, and that
Mhm.
means we have a body, we have a mind, we have a spirit. And in the coaching experience, I believe in bringing in all of those areas, because sometimes when we have some thoughts or narratives, we might be able to feel that in our bodies.
Yeah.
Or we may not know that we have this story that we're telling ourselves, but our body is telling us something.
Mhm.
So in that way, I really believe that all of these areas and all of these parts of ourselves do work together.
No, they do. And I didn't say this at the beginning, but I actually was in a training course where Marie was teaching, and I was just fascinated by your delivery and talking about how it was all connected, because I truly believe it is. But I think that
Yeah.
because of how we've been kind of conditioned to live, we don't see that. So one of the things I wanted to pull up, since we're talking about this, is something on your website. You said, I believe that we as human beings long for permission to be who we are. Throughout life, we learn to create habits, filters to stay safe. The consequences can be that we begin to feel stagnant, unfulfilled, and out of tune. Can you
Mm.
please break that down for me? Because that was like super, that struck a chord for me, because that unfulfillment and the habitual behaviors that we do and not realizing it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, I think you're a therapist, and there's so many ways of looking at this, and we can look at it from a clinical perspective. But I think from all perspectives, we experience things in life that creates stories for us. Some stories we are aware of, and some we're not. And I think for me, what coaching really is all about is bringing awareness to who we are, bringing awareness to what those stories are, what those habits are, and sort of setting ourselves free. And that's what I mean by the filters, setting ourselves free from some of that so that we can really show up. And that's what I mean with the permission part. I think everyone truly wants to be who they are. I think there is a yearning and a longing in all of us for that. Um, that's ultimately why I believe we're here. We're here to shine. We're here to be in our light. We're here to be who we are.
Mhm.
Um, and that takes some work, shedding those layers.
Hmm. What have you noticed in your coaching experience? What have you noticed to be the stumbling blocks to people getting to that point?
Confidence.
Yes,
Yeah.
confidence in themselves.
Confidence in oneself. And I think uh, a story that I certainly can relate to also is this story of not feeling good enough, not
Hmm.
feeling that I am enough, I am
Hmm.
worthy, I am beautiful enough, smart enough. We all have our own version of this enough. I think often that story is a really important story to unravel,
Yeah.
um, because we are all enough. and we are all special and beautiful in our own ways.
Mhm.
And coactive speaks actually to the dance between the being and the doing, so who we are. And I believe that it's really important to help people to tap into who they really are, so that the action that they take feels connected with, with the person.
No, that's so good. And when I think about the quarantine taking place, and I think about how everybody is kind of evaluating their life, and that part about who am I, they're struggling with that, right? Tell
Yeah.
people a little bit about ways they can kind of start this process that you talk about just from the comfort of their own home.
Sure. Well, there's so much that we can all do. I think a really great place to start right now is to just bring awareness to our thoughts. So what am I telling myself? So if I'm having a tough day or I'm in a really bad mood, bring awareness to why that is. What are the thoughts that I'm having, and why am I having those thoughts? And then sort of check in and say, well, is that really true? How might I be able to change, shifting the way you think, to change my thoughts? How can
Yeah.
I shift? How can I shift the story or the narrative? Another thing I think is super important is to just, you know, to really be mindful of the way that we're connecting with ourselves and
Yes.
connecting with other people. Um,
Yes.
and I think sometimes, especially during COVID-19, there's a sense of disconnect. So, right now I'm encouraging everyone to make sure that they're really taking that time to connect with themselves. What do I need? What perhaps what's not needed?
Mm-hmm.
uh, and make sure that you're choosing from that place. And then also really to know that the superpower that we have right now is that we can choose where we place our focus, we can choose where we place our thoughts, we can we can choose to control that. There's a lot of external factors that we can't control, but that part we can take charge of, and I think that really is a game changer.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. So two things that I kind of want to highlight is mindful of the way we are connecting with self. In this stage, some people have never connected with themselves before. And this may be the
Sure.
first time they're actually feeling those feelings that were already there. So I think that's
Yeah.
so huge. And then just quickly talk a little bit about the choice, because that's powerful. A lot of times we feel stuck, and we're not as stuck as we think we are. We always have a choice, but for some reason we tell ourselves that we don't, and we feel trapped because you use
Yeah.
choice. You use it intentionally. When you said it, it was an intentional word you used. So I really want you to tell me why.
Yeah, sure. I think when we feel stuck, we are all looking through a lens, right? We have a perspective, and the lens that we're looking through is the reason why we feel stuck often.
Yeah.
So we can choose to take on another lens. We can choose to look at the circumstances, the situation in a different way, in a different light. And that is a choice. So that's why I'm consciously choosing that word
Yeah.
choice, because it takes choice and it takes practice, knowing that we can shift that lens anytime we choose. And the more we do it, the more we practice it, the easier it becomes to do that.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as this process that me and you were talking about, I'm so excited because I feel like I'm back in the class listening to you talk again, because it was so good. It resonates with me so much. It's a process I went through on myself, right? And it's a process I help people and carry them along the way.
Yeah.
But I really want, I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? It was so important. It was so good. I lost it. Okay. So you just talked about the choices that we have, and the importance of choosing. and how important that is. This is how I got so excited. I just lost my train of thought.
I love that you're so excited.
No, I am, because it's important. This is important. And I know what I wanted to say. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. So I know what I wanted to say. So me and you are all excited about this, like, because we've gone through it and we understand how powerful it is on the other side. But talk to people a little bit about the process and how it doesn't always feel as exciting as we are talking. Like the process of doing it. It's not exciting. I'm excited because I know what's on the other side for people, but the process is not as
Yeah. No, I love that. Actually, I think that's a really good point and an important point to make. Well, I think if you are new to mental health, self-discovery, that first initial step is overwhelming. Where do I begin? And what is this going to mean for me? And that, I think, is like just important to tell people that it's okay that it feels scary.
Yeah.
And of course it does. Anytime we are wanting to explore ourselves in a deeper way, anytime that we are wanting to enter into these conversations we have never had before, of course there is, a tad bit of nerves, and that's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that would really be my encouragement to people, just to know that it's okay, and to know that it's a process. It's a process for me. I'm making up that it's probably a process for you, and it's a process that never ends. Being on this journey of getting to know yourself deeper, and I also think it's a really exciting journey. So that's another perspective I want to offer, that there are days where it's not exciting, and then you get to the other side of it, and it can really have lifelong impacts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody in the audience wants to know, shifting the lens, question mark. Explain a little bit further. I know what you mean. I'm excited because it's so awesome that you're talking about this stuff, but explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, Margaret, that's a good question. Thank you for clarifying. Shifting the lens. So let's use an example. Say that I feel really stuck in a situation. The lens, imagine like a camera lens that I'm looking through, might be, I'll never get this right, or it's everyone else's fault. That might be a lens. We can take on another lens. So like literally imagine a camera lens. We can clean the lens. All of a sudden it's clear, and we can look at it in a different way. So we can say, well, that's one perspective. I can never get this right. Another perspective, another way to look might be, I'm doing my best, and I'll continue to do my best.
I like it.
And then look at what's different, right?
Yep.
When one just continues to make, we continue to feel stuck, and the other lens empowers us to continue to keep going.
No, that's good. I love that so much. Now tell me a little bit about how you are navigating COVID. With a lot of your work was done in person, right? And what does it look like for you now?
Yeah. That is also a good question. So especially a lot of my group work, a lot of my workshops were all in-person experiential work. So that is on hold for now. And then now I'm in the process of figuring out how can I translate some of the material, which is very experiential and very interactive, into a virtual format.
Yeah.
So that's one part of COVID. The other part is that I'm still engaging with clients. I'm super lucky that most of my clients are phone clients, or we do sessions over Zoom, and it's always been that way. So in that sense, that hasn't changed much.
Okay, that's good. This was amazing. You gave us a nice lens into a starting point. I think that people that are hearing this now, that are listening to this, are going to find like the value in being able to kind of process and thinking about it in a holistic way. Any lasting things you want to tell people that you may find that can be of encouragement to them?
Oh, any last things? Well, I want to go back to this saying that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And my encouragement to people is to really try to hold themselves in this way, to know that if you're feeling frustrated right now, if you're feeling sad, it does not mean you're broken. It does not mean that this feeling is going to go on forever. You have resources. So if you feel stuck, if you feel that you don't know what's next, look at what are the resources that I have available. How can I tap into those resources?
Yes.
And how can I use the creative part of myself that I believe we all have to create a sense of forward movement right now? I saw you created that, you offered that wheel before. So really look at these different areas of my life and how can I bring a sense of creativity and action to those areas.
Yeah, that's really good. And then, what Marie's talking about, trying to be present too, because what happens is the pain that we're struggling in now will attach to old pain bodies that have not been processed. And so the self-awareness that you offer as like a first step of like, what is happening and what, how am I being triggered? Making that connection is going to be important because a lot of times we are trapped in, we'll feel something today that resonates with our inner child or the person that we were that we've never processed. And that feels very hard. It can weigh you down. And so like really making space to do this work with compassion, right?
That's right.
No one's ever been in a pandemic before. So really have some compassion with yourself as you're trying to navigate this process is going to be important.
Yeah. And another point that I really want to make is just know that right now it's okay to not be a superstar in your profession.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel that you have days where things don't feel great because we all have those days and we all have those feelings right now.
That's good. That's a good reminder. This was really good, Marie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you are listening to this on the podcast, her website is www.mariemechtaly.com. And you'll be able to click on it in the show notes as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Yay. All right, bye. That was really good. I love being able to talk to people. And I think therapy is one way that people have been able to find support. But I've heard like amazing stories from people being able to find support from coaching. Some people aren't comfortable with the therapeutic approach, right? And the coaching approach. And she's very action oriented. She's very solution focused. I remember sitting in her workshop and thinking like, wow, like this is good. Like the steps that she gives, and it's very on point. And she's talking from her own experience. I feel like, those are the best people that can deliver the content. It's because they know where you are or they know where you were. So that's, so important. So, take time to evaluate like what you're feeling, make that connection. We're a whole, like their mind, body, spirit, it's all connected. I never understand why mental health has been like stigmatized so much when everything is connected. And I think that the more that we start to make those connections and the more we start to be in the moment, we'll actually see we have power. A lot of times, like when she said choice, and she said choice like a few times, I said to myself, like, yes, like we have choices. And I'm constantly reminding people that they have a choice. It doesn't feel like it because sometimes what you're feeling, it resonates from what you felt when you were younger, when you didn't have a choice. But as now we do have choices. But you forget that, right? It's easy. Our mind is that powerful that we forget we actually have choices. So really, like, knowing that you have a choice is going to be important during this process, and looking at like what's within your control is important, and having compassion. Like, everything that she says, like, gives me so much chills because it's so on point and it's so needed, especially now. So I'm grateful. So don't forget, tomorrow we'll be back 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you missed this, you can watch it on the replay, or don't forget, you can listen to it on podcast. The podcast is streaming on all podcasting platforms. So every single episode that I do, you'll be able to listen to it and click on the links to connect with the people that are on the show. Amazing people doing amazing things. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to like highlight these people and share their story, because I think it's so incredible what they're doing. You're welcome, Missy. I'm grateful for you for being here. Margaret, thank you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to somebody else. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.
Every laugh, every smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity, and make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste, the therapist. Let's go.